Alright guys, this is going to be our setup for today. You're going to have a piece of cardboard, some paper. You're going to have a big roll of tape floating around on your tables. You're going to tape your paper to your cardboard. That is step one. Tape paper to cardboard. I kept my tape close to the edge of the paper, just enough to hold it. Most of the tape is covering cardboard. Start with one side. Then get the two sides that are adjacent at 90-degree angle. Then get your last side. You will have a small palette of paint. You will have white, blue, and black. This is what our landscape is going to be made with today. Go ahead, get taped up. And then, ... Hopefully by now you're all taped up. For your name, you're going to be putting it on your base, on your cardboard, instead of on your paper. We're going to keep our paper clean for now. Once you finish taping, you don't need this anymore. So we're going to set it off to the side, set it to the counter. Just get it out of the way. First step. You're going to get you a big amount of white onto your brush. Put it into an empty well. These little divots, these little areas, they're called wells. You have paint wells inside of your palette. A well, like a thing that holds water, but in a palette, it's the thing that holds the paint, a well. You're going to get you a good amount of Let me restart. You will get you a good amount of white. Transfer it into one of your wells. Notice how I didn't press down really hard. The more you press down, the more that paint will stay up in your brush. Use a light touch. Then, you're going to go to your blue. One little corner of your brush is going to touch that blue. Look at how much blue that is. That's hardly nothing. You're going to take this little bit of blue and transfer it to your well, and you're going to start mixing. It's not the best thing in the world to mix with a brush, because as you press down, it's like you're telling that brush to hold on to all the paint. Do you see how much paint is right there? That big huge blob right there? Right there? That's no good. So as I mix, I'm going to have to continually, that means time after time, take the blobs of paint that are on my brush, brush it back into the well. See? Blob is gone. Blob is gone. And then keep mixing. As you press the bristles down to mix it, the paint is going to want to stay in your brush. If you're still mixing, if your colors aren't blended well, if you don't have one uniform color in here, then you need to make sure to get paint off the brush back into the well and keep mixing until you have one light, ever so light shade of blue. But I forgot, it's not a shade because we added white. It's a tint. One very light tint of blue. You're going to think about taking your paper and dividing it up into 3-ish equal sections. This is going to be one of my sections. This is going to be another one of my sections. This is going to be another. About 3 equal-ish sections. In the top third, where your background is going to go. You're not going to go all the way up to the top because this is not our sky. We're doing atmospheric perspective. We're going to start with a line that's horizontal, so it's going to be traveling across our page. And we're going to have to remember about mountain shapes. But we're not doing triangles. Lord help, don't do triangles. We're not doing triangle mountains. We're just going to give a nice, natural, just a nice little line that goes all the way across our page. If you start to run out of paint, please pick up some more. Don't let it get all scratchy on you. This painting is here to do what you want it to do. It doesn't tell you what's what. You tell it what's what. But you got to figure out how to tell it what's what. If that makes any kind of sense at all. Once you have that one stripe, you're going to bring a little bit of that color down. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Now, we'll get more white into our well. and even more blue. You're going to keep mixing larger and larger amounts of blue into your white to get darker tints of blue. As I mix, I have to remember to keep putting paint back into the well so that it doesn't get built up on the brush too much. And then we'll move it around some more to make sure it's nice and mixed. It's not quite looking mixed up yet, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going. And I don't think that looks like it'll be enough paint. So I'm going to get more. And if you add more white, well, to her, you're going to have to add some more blue, because as you add more white, it's going to lighten it back up. You got to balance it back out by adding some more blue. And you want to mix until you don't see any streaks. So mix until it's all the same color. Don't forget to keep getting paint off of your brush, because if you let it, this brush will probably hold most of the paint that you have on your palette right now. The black, the white, all of it. Brushes are good at holding paint. Once you have a slightly darker tint, you're going to come in and add in another line, another horizontal line. Some of it may go below what you have. Some of it might overlap things that you already had going on in your paper. It's all up to you. But it will be darker because we made it that way. And as you do this, make sure you're using even layers of paint. If you see that parts are too built up, like right here, I see there's a big blob right here on mine. I think you can kind of see that. Let's see if I can get it closer. Let's look at that blob. Yeah, you see that blob? Blobs are no good when you're working with paint. So you're going to go back in, even out any blobs, bring some of the color downward so that we can have something else to work with. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to create a darker tint of blue. I'm running out of paint quick, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and get all the rest of this white, throw it over here into this well. If you run out of white, I will have it set up on the counter. One thing you will not do as you're putting any color into these wells, do you see how this isn't completely full of blue? It's not completely full of black. This is getting kind of messy, but it's not completely full of a tint of blue. As you pump paint into your palettes, one pump, that's it. If you fill it up, if you fill up a well completely, you're not going to leave any room for mixing colors. Like if this was completely full, I wouldn't have no room for mixing, and that's no good. Oh, I forgot to add blue into here. No wonder it still looks so light. The more white you add, the more blue you have to add to darken it up. We're going to keep getting a little bit darker and a little bit darker. That's still about the same. We got to get some more dark. I think for you guys today, I might let you use the palette knives, because this stuff is sort of annoying. Trying to mix a color, then have to remember to get it off of the brush, back into the well, and then keep mixing and then get it off. That's a stinking process right there. And by stinking, I mean not the easiest in the world. So I'll probably make sure that the palette knives are clean so that you guys can use those. You're going to create a darker value. Then with that darker value, you're going to come in and do the same thing over. Oh, do you see that? That darker value isn't that much darker. If you start to put in your next value, but you see that it's the same stinking color, that's okay. That just means you need to add more blue. More something to darken it back up. Whatever you do, you're not going to mix black with it at all yet. Not even a little bit. Because the moment you mix anything that has black with anything that has white, you're going to get some degree of gray. And we're just not shooting for gray right now. We're not. That is not what we're about. That's starting to look there. Oh yeah, that's a little darker. Just a little bit. Even out this bottom part a little bit. Okay, that's starting to look good. Alright, I gotta get darker. At this point, you know, it took me a couple of tries to get it dark enough, so I just dipped the whole thing in the blue. So that way when I start mixing, hopefully, if my mental math has worked out right, now you know I'm not a math person, but if it worked out right, this should be about the right flavor I'm looking for. Like a misty blueberry or something. You're going to get progressively darker as you move down your page. Oh, that's really, really similar to what I have. That's okay. I'll just dip it in the blue, mix some more, and then try again. Yeah, you guys are definitely going to have to use some palette knives. That's a little bit darker, just a little. What has happened? There it is. Or was. Let's try again. That's good now. That looks really similar. As you move farther down, you're going to find that you're going to have to start adding more and more blue in order to get it to go darker. That looks almost the same. Let's see how we're looking now. Slightly better. Okay, I'm having trouble with this one, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put some of this blue here, get some more of the straight blue, mix it up. And it's all about, it's trial and error. Don't expect to get it perfect the first time. If you do, you're gonna set yourself up for disappointment. And nobody really likes to be disappointed, not by anyone or anything. Keep an open mind. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Try again. That's kind of Getting there. I'm gonna need more blue. Looks really close. I think now the problem is that there's so much blue in my brush. That's why it's not mixing. So I'm going to start mixing with the end of my brush. If you decide to use the end of your brush instead of your palette knife, that's okay. Just be sure that you wash it off afterwards. And for the love of Jeebus, don't put the end of it in your mouth if it's got paint on it. That would not be good. 'Twould be no good at all. That's cool sounding. You guys hear that Bach? Maybe it's not Bach, it might be Mozart. Either way, it's some cool old Jesus-y music. Sounds like something you would hear in a cathedral. You're going to keep putting in layer after layer after layer after layer after layer after layer until you have most of it filled in. And then your brush right now, it should be pretty close to blue. If it's not, go ahead and mix it in with some straight blue. So let's see, I got the first 1 and 2 and a little bit. I don't know. Got first third, second third, this third down here. That's what I'm still working on. I'm going to do one more pass in this darkest of the darkest of the dark blues. Okay, now for the fun part. You need to wipe off your brush. If you don't wipe it off, this next part will not work for you because right now you have white in your bristles. And that's no good for this next part. You're going to be getting black. And you're going to load your brush by pressing down on the bristles just a little bit to get all that color in between. And we're going to paint the bottom part black. to bring it up on the edges. Remember, even layer. Brought that guy up on the edge. If you press down really hard and 2 colors are wet, it'll shine through to whatever color is underneath. So one way that you can keep it from doing that, keeping a light hand. You're not stabbing it, you're just giving it just a little bit of a touch. We're gonna put some trees up in here. Start with a straight line for the trunk. With trees and painting, especially pine trees, you're always gonna start with a straight line for the trunk, going straight up and down, or as straight as you can get it. And if one line is bigger than the others, that's okay. It'll be alright. I'm pretty sure they'll still work. Now for these trees, I think it'll be best if you use the corner of your brush. So you're going to be like this with the corner. You're going to rotate it up so that it's just the corner touching on your page. Start at the top. Start narrow. As you work your way down, you're going to get wider and fatter and more bigger. That's a pretty fluffy looking tree. If your point on your corner starts to get bent in, starts to get kind of mushed, flatten it back out on the side of a well. Grab you some more paint on that corner, because you know that's what we're painting with right now. And then go for it. Let's try it again. Oh yeah, that tree turned out pretty nice, pretty nice, pretty nice. I'm going to flatten it back out. Grab some more paint on just the corner, because that's the only thing we're using right now. Start small. As you move down, you're going to get wider. Wider. The reason why we're using the corner, it will give us this nice uneven line on the edges of our trees, on the outline. That'll help it look more realistic. Oh, I see there's a lot of blue shining through over here. I fixed that. Yeah, that looks good there. Flatten it out, flatten it out. Get your little paint on that corner. Start little. As you go down, you'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you have a lot of wet paint like I do, it's just going to mix in like that. If that happens, you need to put a pause on your life. Put a pause on your life. Get some air flowing to your paper. Let it dry out for a little bit. Once it's dry though, I'm going to finish up that tree. Still a lot of blue, but I'm going to try it. I always did like a challenge. Fast and better. If it'll, you know, focus. Slightly better, slightly better. From here, there's not much left. Just some snow.